Hello everyone, all 22 and a few film review, giving you guys the next episode of Draft Wraps, my draft class analysis series where we dive deep into all 32 classes, letting you guys know how I feel about every pick according to my big board, who's left on the board positionally, is it a team need, is it a scheme fit, all that good stuff. We're going to be talking about immediate kind of path to starting and immediate roles if I see that for the player. So if you want to learn more about the Cardinals class or any of the other 31 classes, make sure you're going through the channel, subscribing, sticking around, making sure you don't miss your favorite team or any of the teams that you're interested in the NFL. Like I said, we're going to be talking about the Cardinals today. My 11th class, just barely missing the top 10 by a .0005 numerical grade from the next class ahead of them. They get a 3.845 numerical grade. That numerical grade coming from an equation that I made for you guys, so you guys can have a more concrete feel about how I feel about every class in the NFL, how different kind of letter grade stack and how different classes have the same letter grade stack. You guys can see how close and how far I have each of them graded. Basically, just kind of an extra thing for you guys, an extra fun thing that we can come back to and see where I was right, see where I was wrong. It's more about the analysis on every pick and the letter grades per pick, but wanted to give you guys that. So they get an A minus, again at 3.2845. A very, very good class to me. Can't really poke any true holes in that. A couple questions, but still fits. We'll get into it as we get through the class here. But their first pick, they go Walter Nolan, an IDL out of Ole Miss. Their next pick is Will Johnson, a quarterback out of Michigan. Jordan Birch, an edge / IDL out of Oregon. Cody Simon, a linebacker out of Ohio State. Denzel Burke, cornerback out of Ohio State. Hayden Connor, a guard out of Texas. And Keaton Crawford, a safety out of Nevada. Again, a very, very, very good overall class. I really wanted them to target corner in this class, get a big body edge for this team, and get kind of another interior guard to compete. Did not hit one of those positions as early as I would have liked them to, but still, I feel like they really filled out their needs in a very good way. Got a lot of guys who are going to compete for this team in year one. If not in year one, should at least be soon. Their first pick is Walter Nolan, an IDL out of Ole Miss with the 16th pick. No trade compensation at this spot as they just sat and picked. A very good pick for me, an A minus. I really like Walter Nolan, and I think he is a perfect fit for this team. Now, it was a little bit early for me in terms of true value. I had him at 29. Walter Nolan, a very polarizing player. Some of the best flashes in this entire class from any position. This guy moves different for an interior defensive lineman. He's got more bend and athleticism than you're used to seeing at this spot. Also has a ton of power for his size, even at 296. This guy is just really, really different when it's all there. Just on a consistency basis, wasn't always there. And from seeing the game full speed, I had a few questions about his ability to diagnose different runs, different blocking schemes. I still really liked him, as I did have him as my third interior, ranked only behind Mason Graham and Derek Harmon. But some of the mental aspects of his game is what kind of held back his overall big board ranking to me, which kind of led him to 29. Still a very good player, still worth it at this spot for this team. Like I said, a very, very good penetrating scheme fit for this Jonathan Gannon defensive scheme that loves to blitz, loves to loop and stunt guys, loves to move them around the line. Walter Nolan is perfect for that. He's going to be super good in stunts. He can loop, he can penetrate, he can do it basically all over the line, playing from a 2-tech to a 5-tech. I think he's a lot more comfortable as a 3-tech. But if you did want to slide him in for some snaps, especially as a rusher, you're going to be completely fine doing that. Just don't want him playing nose on a down-to-down basis. Like I said, is super bendy. Probably the most bend you're ever going to see from interior defensive rusher, especially at 296. Man, this guy just has insane ankle flexion, is able to clear his hips, which is very rare for interior defensive linemen. Like I said with Mason Graham in our last video talking about the Browns at 12, a lot of interior rushers become just basically pocket pushers and bull rushers because of their inability to get around people by clearing their hips. A lot of edge rushers have trouble with it too, but the best edge rushers are the ones that are able to do it very fluently, where when you're using a speed move, a finesse move, and you're trying to get around somebody using a club or a rip or something like that, being able to quickly get your hips parallel with that person and then bring them through and stack behind that lineman makes it so that offensive lineman isn't able to turn and recover on you. He doesn't have an angle to be able to cut you off from whoever's getting the ball in the backfield, whether it be a quarterback or if it's a run and you're going for a quick swim move, for a TFL. A lot of interior players just don't have that ability to do that consistently, especially when they're rushing and they're not just kind of throwing a move straight at the snap, straight off the line. Walter Nolan could do that very, very well. I expect him to be a very good interior rusher, the best interior rusher on this team right out the gate. I would be very surprised if he wasn't. He is coming into a very interesting rotation. They do bring in Calais Campbell. They bring in Dalvin Tomlinson, who is more of a nose there. They have Bilal Nichols. They have Justin Jones. They have Darius Robinson, who they took in the first last year, who was an edge coming out, but is someone who is kind of an outside-inside tweener, more of a big-bodied early down edge that you put on the inside on rushing downs. It seemed that they want to play him more at end than they did at linebacker. This move kind of tells me that they might want to push him towards the outside, especially on early downs more often. Maybe allow Walter Nolan and Robinson to come inside on rush downs and just let those guys be some demons up the middle. But if they don't move Robinson to the outside, it's just a very, very crowded interior line group. I do think Walter Nolan should be playing immediately on that D-line in whatever role they want him to. When they kind of get in their more base style 3-4, he should definitely be in that group. If he's not at least consistently playing on rush downs, I'd be very surprised. This is a very good player, the most upside of anyone in their line, day one, 100%. Like I said, he's got it all there. It's just you need to see more consistency and motor in his down-to-down game. You need to see some of the mental side come together. I feel a lot of times when he was getting washed down by double teams, it's because he wasn't able to recognize the second lineman coming inside of him, trying to get him on that down on a down-to-down basis. He's really just trying to bully the lineman in front of him. He's not taking time to recognize the blocking scheme or where the ball is going 100% of the time. It'll leave him lost. Like I said, it'll leave him getting washed down by, combos and doubles when he's not able to see the second guy coming into him. But if you can get all of that put together, this guy can be an absolute demon. Has top 5 interior D-line potential if he can hit his ceiling. Very, very, very good player. 6'4", 296, going to be 22 throughout his rookie season. Didn't apply for a RAST. He didn't have enough testing measurables. Had 6.5 sacks, 25 hurries, 14 TFLs, 48 tackles, and 3 PBUs on the season. A 5-star recruit coming out of high school, a 2024 first-team All-American, and first-team SEC selection. Very good player, man. Again, I gave it an A-. Goes to a very crowded room. Was a little bit early in terms of true value for me. I did have Derek Harmon above him. But when you're talking about this scheme fit, it makes perfect sense why they would want Walter Nolan over Derek Harmon. I really, really, really like this spot for him. Think it's a great pick for them. Again, an A-. Their next pick, they go Will Johnson, a cornerback out of Michigan, with the 47th pick, the 15th pick of the second round. I gave this an A+. Insane value for me. It's just he falls because of injury. There was a lot of concern about him kind of missing most of last season, as well as coming back and not really doing the full testing at his pro day. A lot of concerns from teams about that. That's mostly why he falls to 47. A great value in my opinion. He was the 20th on my big board, my 3rd overall corner, the 4th one taken off the board. I had him and Maxwell Hairston ranked literally side by side. In my first rankings video, I had Hairston above Will Johnson by a smidge. The more I went back to the 2023 film on Will Johnson, I couldn't do it. I barely moved him a smidge above Hairston. They're basically neck and neck for me. This was great, great, great value. The only reason you get him is because of the injury. Like I said before, I wanted them to go after corner. I'm a big Garrett Williams fan. Outside of that, Max Melton was a little bit early for me last year, taking him in the second. I'm not 100% sure if they're comfortable with him starting full-time outside. I wouldn't be surprised if they were. But outside of that, you have Elijah Jones, who you took in the 3rd last year. Didn't get a ton of meaningful snaps. Kytrell Clark's gotten a lot of snaps for them in the past as a 6th round pick or a 5th round pick. But again, none of those guys you're too surefire about starting as your outside guy in year 1. They also have Thomas Starling from Detroit. Again, doesn't really push the needle for me. Will Johnson, I think, is going to start year 1 above all those guys. I wouldn't be surprised if he is their number 1 guy. Garrett Williams, more going to be their number 1 guy depth chart wise, but he plays his best spot in the nickel. So when they go to their 4-2-5s, when they go in their dime, he's most likely going to be sliding inside. Will Johnson should be a very good corner for them, man. I'm confident he's going to be a very, very good corner for them. Full size at 6'2", 194, Going to be 22 throughout his rookie season. Like I said, didn't test, wasn't going to be the best tester in the world, but he makes up for it in his technique and his IQ. This is a very, very smart physical player with the ball in the air. Very nice ball skills. In only 6 games this season, still had 2 interceptions and 3 PBUs. Only 52.6 passer rating allowed. Had 14 tackles and 1 TFL. A 5-star recruit coming out of high school. A 2024 third-team All-American and Big Ten honorable mention despite only playing 6 games. Broke his school's record for career pick sixes with 3 pick sixes. So you see the ball skills, man. That is a great record to break. This guy is a super fun player. Again, an A+. He shouldn't have been at the spot, but injuries push him down the board a bit. This team needs a starting outside corner. Man, hard to get a better pick in this class than Will Johnson at the spot. Really like that for them. Their next pick, they go Jordan Birch, an edge/IDL out of Oregon, with the 78th pick, the 14th pick of the 3rd round. This was a bit early for me. In terms of true big board, he was 110 for me, taken at 78, so about a round early. I thought he was more of a, at most, late 3rd, more likely an early 4th type of guy. He was my 20th edge ranked. He was the 14th one off the board. But when you look at these kind of real big body, outside, inside kind of flexible guys, I only had Elijah Roberts above him. So if you want a guy specifically for that role, I understand taking Jordan Birch at this spot at 6'4", 279, and he looks like it on tape. This is a really, really thick guy. The only reason I really had Elijah Roberts above him is I think he sees the run a little bit quicker, and I think he's a little bit more consistent in his bull rush. That being said, Jordan Birch does have NFL power in his rush. He just doesn't really have a nuanced tool belt. Doesn't show a lot of ability to counter, can't win around the edge, but does have real NFL power. Not on a super consistent basis is he winning from it because it's really only a bull rush. He doesn't club off of it super well, doesn't have a ton of power moves. Shows a stab at times, but it's not consistent again. Really good fit for what they're trying to do. Like I said, they have Darius Robinson, who's kind of that outside interior flexible guy too. Jordan Birch just like that. Even Calais Campbell, throughout his career, has played in different roles, playing as a 4-3 defensive edge and a 3-4 defensive end. So, you can get a little bit flexible with him up and down the line. They bring in Walter Nolan, who can play a little bit up and down the line as well. It just fits really well with what they're trying to do. What this looks like to me, taking Walter Nolan and then Jordan Birch, makes it seem like they really want to pair up these bigger body edges that could slide inside with their lighter body edges. They have Zaven Collins, who's a former off-ball backer, more of a Sam type edge. They have Baron Browning, who again came into the league as an off-ball linebacker, transitioned to edge because he was going off as a pass rusher over with the Broncos. And then BJ Ojolari, who is a true edge but not a big body guy. They bring in Josh Sweat as well, who isn't really like an inside-outside guy, but is more of a bigger body type edge that can slide into the 4-eye at 6'5", 265. It just really seems like they want to pair big early down edges for running downs that could slide inside and give a lot of guards fits rushing the ball as they bring in, BJ Ojolari, Zaven Collins, and Baron Browning to come off the edge and just fly at the quarterback. They can be very versatile in terms of stunts and twists with this group. Like I said, all these, it's going to be kind of redundant, but all these guys can kind of slide up and down. And so that allows you to be very, very multiple and flexible in their stunts and twists. Like I said, they really like to do their Gannon loves his stunts. So it's going to be a very fast-flowing, moving all over the tight place group. It works very well for them. That is partially why I give it a B and don't rate it lower. Like I said, is a bit early for me, not even a bit, is pretty early for me in terms of true big board value. He is at 110, taken at 78, my 20th edge. But for this role, he was my second best guy to fit this kind of role. Fits in super well with this team. Is going to be pushed down the rotation a bit. I don't expect him to get a ton of pass rushing snaps, but as an early down guy, I expect him to get a lot more snaps than a Baron Browning or a BJ Ojolari on early downs. So I do expect him to get a pretty significant amount of snaps for this team. At 6'4", 279, like I said earlier, going to be 24 during his rookie season. Didn't qualify for a RAS. He didn't have enough touchdown measurables. In 2024, had 8.5 sacks, 20 hurries, 11 TFLs, 4 PBUs, and 1 forced fumble. a 2023 Pac-12 honorable mention when Oregon was still in the Pac before moving to the Big Ten. Had a 36-yard fake punt versus Maryland in this last season. You see some of the athleticism for him. He actually ran, I'm pretty sure, a 4.67 at 279, which is kind of crazy. Honestly, I didn't expect him to be moving that fast. He's not an exceptional athlete on tape. He does have some flashes of quick feet and slight explosiveness in short area, but not a superb athlete. So I was a little bit surprised to see that. Their next pick, they go Cody Simon, an inside linebacker out of Ohio State, with the 115th pick, the 13th pick of the 4th round. This got and I like it. Now, as we get into the day 3 picks, I'll give a reminder out to you guys and a news flash to some of you guys who haven't been with the channel yet. The day 3 grades are going to be graded on a different scale than the day 1 and day 2 grades. Teams go after day 1 and day 2 in a different vision, getting more BPA, best player available, and best player available for team needs in day 1 and day 2. Day 3 is much more about upgrading aspects of a position on the roster, not exactly upgrading the position group itself, but adding aspects to it, like a deep threat receiver to a room that's kind of lacking a lot of deep speed, adding a giant meat clogger in the middle of your defensive line if you had a really lackluster group against the run. Maybe getting a safety that's converted to linebacker somewhere late in the class to help your linebackers pass coverage overall if that group is very, very lacking in a pass coverage sense. Stuff like that. Guys that may never become true starters for you, but will see field time due to upgrading aspects of their position, and if they can hit their ceiling or if you can develop them correctly, then they'll eventually become starters down the line. It's a much, much different vision. Less kind of harsh grading on day 3 picks. Day 1 and 2 is going to be letter grades. It's going to be much harder graded. Going to be weighted a lot more in the numerical grade. Day 3 grades aren't going to be weighted as much. Kind of a different scale. I'll explain each of the picks I do. I'm going to grade everything on I love it, I like it, I see the vision, or an I don't get it basis. I will be kind of explaining why for each pick, but if you want more of a concrete definition on each of those, it'll be down in the description, as well as anything you might have kind of questions about, how I grade, abbreviations, anything you're seeing up on your screen, anything, it should be down in the description. If it's not, come scream at me. Come scream at me in the comments anyways. I love talking to you guys. I love chatting football. I love having constructive criticism. I love hearing from people that watch the videos. It makes me feel great. Even if it's constructive criticism, I love chatting with you guys. I love to see that people are actually, feeling a type of way about the content and enjoying it. So make sure, you guys let me know what you guys think. But again, that's everything. If you have questions, should be in the description. Cody Simon, I like it. Taken with the 115th pick, the 13th pick of the 4th round. This was a very solid linebacker pick to me. I thought he was more of a late 4th round guy, not much of a mid 4th round guy, but it's still solid value in my opinion. I don't hate the value at all. More of a full-size linebacker by 2 days NFL standards at 6'2", 230. You're not seeing your Ray Lewis's anymore. You're not seeing you guys that are 6'5" or 6'3" to 6'5", 245, 250, 255. You're just not getting those guys at off-ball linebacker anymore. If you are, they're going to be much more slated in an early down type of role, because they're probably not going to be the most athletic type of guy. In today's NFL, where there's so many screens, so many RPOs, where the linebackers are always put in positions to consistently fail by opposing offenses, you need guys that can move around. Now, you don't want to sacrifice all your size. The NFL is starting to get into more pro style and gap running as teams are drafting 2 safeties in the back more, as teams are trying to limit those explosive plays. You see a lot more corners defenses, a lot more 2 safety shells. You're going to see a lot more interior running game, a lot more gap pro style running game, and we're starting to see it. So you still need guys who can wrap up and tackle, but you need guys who can definitely move. And Cody Simon is a guy who can do both of those at 6'2", 230 with an 8.35 RAS. Not a bad tester at all. Going to be 22 throughout his rookie season too, not the oldest prospect in the world. I really like this pick for them, especially considering who is in their linebacker room. They bring over Akeem Davis-Gaither and Mac Wilson. Outside of that, in their interior linebacker group, you have Owen Popo. Outside of that, not really anyone you're too excited about, anyone that's a real lock for the roster. So I really like bringing Cody Simon in. He is going to compete right away for their LB3 spot, if not their LB4, maybe LB5 spot, but should be LB3 or LB4 in year one. I would be pretty surprised if he wasn't kind of in that second rotation of linebackers, if you will. A very, very solid pick in my opinion. Had 112 tackles, 12.5 TFLs, 7 PBUs, 7 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 13 missed tackles on the season. A 2024 third-team Big Ten selection and a Rose Bowl defensive MVP in his first year starting for Ohio State. Again, a little bit early in terms of true value, but not bad value by any means. He's going to come in and immediately compete for some pretty solid snaps. It should be their LB3 to 4. It's a pretty thin group, so I do like them bringing in, especially considering the fact that they are bringing in 2 kind of outside bodies. You're not 100% sure if those guys are really going to stick in that room. Their next pick, they go Denzel Burke, a cornerback out of Ohio State. With the 174th pick, the 38th pick of the 5th round, this got I see the vision for them. They get this pick from a trade down with the Cowboys, sending over 152 for 174 and 211. Do like the trade down for them to try to get more swings for this team. This team needs all the swings they can get. Didn't love them doubling up at corner at this spot. Like I said, they kind of have a decent amount of bodies in their room, especially after drafting Will Johnson. You have Will Johnson, you have Garrett Williams, you have Max Melton, you have Elijah Jones, you have Kychel Clark, you have Thomas Starling. So Denzel Burke is going to come in and try to compete for that 6th cornerback spot. You know, if he doesn't get that 6th cornerback spot, it's going to be a real uphill battle for him to make this roster. I don't think any teams keep 7 corners. Not a lot of teams do, if there are some. So it's like in the 5th, real uphill battle for him to make this roster. I think he could have went in a number of different positions that would have been at a safer spot to make your roster. Talk about interior line depth at this spot, whether it's inside or outside. Maybe even adding another receiver to this room. Wouldn't hate that at all. So it's just very interesting to me for them to add another corner that might not 100% make the roster, especially in the 5th round. Now, he isn't a bad corner. I like Denzel Burke at the spot. I thought he was going to be somewhere in the 5th, maybe mid-5th. So getting him at the back end of the 5th, I do think it is good value for him. A 5'11", 186-pound corner. Not the biggest size in the world, but can play on the outside. Going to be 23 in his rookie season. Didn't have enough testing measurables to qualify for a RAS, but he's not a bad athlete at all. Someone who had 2 interceptions, 2 PBUs, 95.4 passer rating allowed when targeted. Not good, man. Not a good number. Had 48 tackles and 3 TFLs on the season. Was a freshman All-American for Ohio State. A 2024 Big Ten honorable mention and a 4-year starter at Ohio State. Came in, immediately started as a freshman, was electric as a freshman. You expect him to just keep continuing to developing and, become a first-round pick by his senior season. Didn't happen for him. Just never kept taking that next step up. Just kind of middled out, even dropped a little bit in production. Don't love to see it, but again, a 4-year starter, not a bad value at this spot. But for this team, just doesn't make a ton of sense for me. That's why it's an I see the vision. I like him for this spot, but he's just got an uphill battle to make this roster. I do expect him to somehow get that 6th cornerback spot, but it's not a surefire thing that he's going to, and if he doesn't, might not make this team, so it's a little bit tough for me. Their next pick, they go Hayden Connor, a guard out of Texas, with the 211th pick, the 35th pick of the 6th round. Again, from the trade back with the Cowboys, sending over 152 for 174 and 211. I like this a lot for them. Honestly, I do. Like I said, I wanted them to go interior guard. I wish they did it earlier to try to get a more competitive guy for their kind of year one. They have Isaiah Adams, who they took in the 3rd, I believe it was last year. So, you feel like they believe in him to try to step in and take one of those starting guard spots. You have Hjalte Froholt, and you have Evan Brown at your center and your left guard spot, 2 guys that are coming in from outside situations that didn't really play great in the opportunities that they were given. Very, very upgradable bodies, in my opinion. And your depth behind them is suspect as well. So I would have really liked a guy to, even if he doesn't win a starting job in year 1, at least push for his starting job and keep that room competitive. Iron sharpens iron. Pressure creates diamond. Those are really real sayings when it comes to sports. When you have someone pushing for your job, when you're competitive, when you're competing every day, that's when you have the best development. So I would really like them to get someone that could do that. Hayden Conner, I wouldn't be surprised if he fights for a backup guard spot, somehow wins it in training camp. If he flashes very, very well, and then due to injuries or poor play throughout the season, he gets put into a starting guard spot, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't necessarily think that's likely going to happen. I think he most likely competes for a backup spot, maybe wins one. I hope he does. A 6'6", 314-pound guard, more of a full-size guard in today's NFL. You love the length on him. Going to be 23 throughout his rookie season, a 7.62 RAS. Not an outworldly athlete, but enough athleticism to be able to play in their offensive scheme. I'm not worried about him playing there. On 443 pass block snaps, had 0 sacks allowed, only 2 QB hits. I could not find how many hurries he allowed in 2024. I looked everywhere. I promise you. If you know, let me know, because I couldn't find it. And I don't pay for PFF, so I didn't have all of their advanced stuff for everybody. Now, a 3-year starter for Texas. This guy has been doing it for a long time. He only allowed 0 sacks and 2 hits on over 400 pass block snaps. He's 6'6". This team needs interior linemen, so I think this is a great pick, almost an I love it pick for them. But I think this is about solid value for him, for Hayden Conner. At the spot, getting someone who is very, very good in pass pro, at least statistically, is full length. You need line. I think it just works very well for them. A very, very solid pick. You're not getting a lot of guys this late in the 6th that have kind of this pass block upside and have this length of starting, also with this size. He was the 3rd to last interior taken off the board. The guys that go after him are a little bit more raw or are dealing with injury. I like Hayden Conner. He's probably the best guard at this spot for you. Their next pick, they go Keaton Crawford, a safety out of Nevada, with the 225th pick, the 9th pick of the 7th round. This got an I love it pick. I absolutely loved this pick for them. I don't know how Keaton Crawford falls to the 7th. He is a very, very raw safety, but super athletic, hard-hitting flyer all over the field. I love them taking this type of guy. They already have their 2 safeties in Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson. Behind him, you have DTD and you have Joey Blunt. So he's not going to be super pressured to come in and get starting snaps immediately. He could come in and grow behind those guys, be an absolute wrecking house on special teams, maybe get in on some 30 safety packages, and in a year or two, fight for some playing time. I love this value for him, man. Don't know how he fell to the 7th. A 5'11", 200-pound, real thick safety, had a 9.55 RAS. This guy had a 41.5-inch vert at 5'11", which is absolutely absurd. He ran fast, not bad agilities. This guy flies all over the field, hits very well, a little bit raw in coverage, a bit raw as a safety in general. That's why he does fall to the 7th. But still, in the 7th, I think this is great value. You do not find these kind of athletic upside type guys usually in the 7th. Really like this for them, especially considering their room. He can just grow behind some really good dudes and be a true just beast on special teams. Going to be 24 in his rookie season. Like I said, a 9.55 RAS. Had 2 interceptions, 7 PBUs, 76 tackles, 3 TFLs, 1 forced fumble, and 12 missed tackles on the season. You don't like to see that amount of missed tackles for only 76 total tackles, but nice ball production over there at Nevada. Very good player, man. Really like Keaton Crawford at this spot. A 2024 Mountain West honorable mention and a 2-year starter over for Nevada. Was originally recruited over to Texas, transferred over to Nevada. Was a much better fit for him. He probably wasn't going to be playing too much at Texas, giving the route he was going on. But again, in the 7th, I love this for them, man. I can't really stress that enough. I think it's a very good value. Someone in 2 or 3 years should be competing for playing time, and once he gets to playing time, has all the upside in the world. So really like that for them. Again, a very good class, an A- for me. My 11th class, barely squeaking outside the top 10. Barely squeaking outside the top 10. My 11th and 10th class were practically tied. And they're a team that the Cardinals have actually played a Super Bowl against. So if you want to try to guess that team, down in the comments, please do. I'll like and pin your comment if you can guess which team is up next. A very good class, again, an A-. Love this class for them. I think Walter Nolan is immediate impact. Will Johnson, immediate impact. Jordan Birch, immediate impact on early downs. Cody Simon going to be competing earlier than later for playing time. Denzel Burke, bit of a question from me. Hayden Connor definitely has a chance to compete for a backup spot on this line. Very questionable depth that they have. Keaton Crawford goes to the safety room where I'm very confident he still makes the roster, but doesn't have to play super early and just can develop and is a super high ceiling kind of developmental piece. Like this class a lot, man. If you really enjoyed me rambling about the Cardinals for this long, let me know. Like, subscribe. Let me know what you thought down below. It helps me more out than you could ever know, man. It's crazy how the algorithm works. So if you want to help me out by leaving a like, I would really, really enjoy that. If you don't, it's all right. Just the fact that you made it this far in the video makes me happy, man. The fact that so many people are coming to watch me ramble about teams is bewildering to me. Really appreciate it. I love doing this stuff. You know, it might not be a ton of people in a general sense or compared to the bigger guys, but it's a lot more than I thought I was going to be doing early on. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys, and I hope you have a great day.